Since time immemorial, man has been obsessed with one question: who would win in a fight?
For whatever reason, we just need to know who would come out on top. Goku or Superman? Sonic or Mario? Hello Kitty or the Predator? Well, today, let's indulge our baser instincts and gawk in awe at some of nature's toughest throwdowns. Get ready for some absolutely epic animal battles caught on camera. Brown Bear Brawl. The answer is obviously two ferocious grizzly bears. Orphan Wildlife Center in New York, and what park officials called a little spring fever. Dang, I usually just clean. The two female Syrian brown bears named Jenny and Amy are around 15 years old, which is middle-aged for a typical brown bear. Makes sense, as these ferocious fluffies can weigh up to 500 pounds when they bulk up their fat reserves for the winter season. The bear on the bottom struggles to free itself, but the bear on top keeps pressing down, until it eventually loses its grip and both bears end up back on their feet. After composing herself, a short chase ensues and the two bears are back furiously swatting at each other. The two eventually bite each other and end up locked in one another's jaws before they call a gentlewoman's truce and take a short rest. While the fight continues after this, you can tell these girls are tired of fighting each other's mega mass, and eventually one scampers off. Can't say I blame her. I got tired just watching. Reptilian Rumble. I've said before that I've been hungry enough to eat a horse, but what about an alligator? I certainly couldn't, but what could? Well, considering the jaws of a Burmese python can open to an obscene 180-degree angle, it might just be possible. Burmese pythons are an invasive species in southern Florida, and this one is trying its luck with a gator. At nearly 1,000 pounds and 10 to 12 feet long on average, you'd think the gator would be a tough opponent. However, the 200-pound Burmese python can grow up to 23 feet. That's over twice the length of most gators. This means there's plenty of python to go around on a gator. Literally. You can see that here as the devious snake encoils the poor lizard and begins squeezing the life out of it. Burmese pythons are able to exert about 6 pounds of pressure per square inch of prey and squeeze until it suffocates. And it seems like the python was too strong for this unfortunate alligator to fight off. After that comes the unfortunate closer. Oh God, that is horrible. Ugh. And I thought I looked bad trying to cram 2 corn dogs in my mouth at once. You know what's never a bad look though? Being subscribed to Be Amazed. So be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Oh, and let us know who you think would win in that Hello Kitty v Predator matchup down in the comments. It's for research, I swear. Right, which contenders do we have next? Apex Party. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, prepare yourselves because it's time for the main event. Get your snacks ready and place your bets now. Who would win in a fight between a lion and a crocodile? Both these creatures are apex predators, meaning they're at the top of their respective food chains. That makes them some of the baddest of the bad, so who knows how things will go when they tussle. This footage was captured in Kenya's Samburu National Park. For some reason, this curious lion just couldn't help but prod a sleeping croc, which clearly didn't enjoy being woken up. Despite obviously being in the wrong, two of the lion's pride show up to defend them, and things get nasty. For some reason, however, the lion just will not leave the croc alone. She even double-checks her friends are still there for backup. At this point, it's a full 3-on-1 where the lions keep going for the tail. The croc eventually shakes them off, and the lions finally relent and slink away. Hopefully that poor crocodile was able to get some sleep after that. I know I hate being woken up by 3 angry lions. Hippo Hoedown. While hippos may look like cute, silly, harmless, blubbery boys, you shouldn't be fooled. These rotund creatures are deadly. Hippos in Africa are responsible for the deaths of over 3,000 people per year. That's 6 times more than lions, crocodiles, and elephants combined. Don't believe me? Just watch the beef unravel between these two. These hippos are bulls, or males, and appear to be fighting over territory in Lake Kariba in southern Zimbabwe. Now, African hippos like these can grow to be over 9,000 pounds. That's over 2 times as heavy as an average car and is estimated to be half the weight of a T-Rex. What's more, those giant tusks can grow to over 1.5 feet long. No wonder they're so dangerous. The conflict began in the midday when the larger hippo spotted the smaller one in a waterhole he clearly assumed he had dibs on. After a short standoff, the duel began, and it got ugly quick. The larger hippo clearly has the advantage and bats the smaller one around like a rag doll. Their tussle continued into the late evening until the smaller hippo decided to retreat. The following day, the filmer returned to the location, only to find the smaller hippo lifeless in the water. They note that Africa is not a place for the faint-hearted. Yikes. Remind me to book my next summer vacation somewhere less horrifying. Pain in the neck. If you've ever been in a car that suddenly stopped, you may have experienced the uncomfortable neck pain known as whiplash. Well, just be thankful you're not a giraffe. Imagine how much this would ache. While this neck-slamming melee, which was captured in Botswana's Nxai-Pan National Park, may appear brutal, it's apparently a routine sparring match between 2 male giraffes. These sparring matches sometimes occur over potential mates, but more often than not they determine the hierarchy of bull giraffes in a herd. These animals rarely take advantage of smaller members, instead picking fights with other bulls roughly their own size. Who knew there was honor among giraffes? While the exact force of a giraffe's head swing is not known, their necks are typically around 6 feet long. These males are able to swing those long necks, which weigh some 600 pounds, all the way down in what appears to be less than a second. Imagine being whipped with something about as tall as a person and over 4 times as heavy, and you get the idea. To mitigate the damage to themselves, giraffes have thick skulls to protect against concussions.
Oh, and they also have little horn-like protrusions called ossicones,
in case the 600-pound hurtling slab of meat wasn't enough. Thankfully, this pair of bulls decided to pack it in before they end up with neck pain and posture as bad as mine. Hangry jaguars. How do you feel when you want a snack and there's just nothing to eat? Despite being a fully grown adult man, I tend to throw a tantrum. Luckily for Mrs. Be Amazed, I'm not a jaguar. This frightening footage was captured at the Criadero Onca Pintada, a breeding park in Brazil. The park rescues animals that are being illegally trafficked and attempts to reacclimate them to the wild. They then release them back into their natural habitat, which is a noble goal, as it's currently believed less than 10,000 jaguars are now living in the wild in Brazil. Though if these cats keep swatting at each other like that, I think we may end up with two less in captivity. While this footage may look like two bitter enemies have been pitted against one another in a cage match, filmer Gaska Zadachowska tells us these jaguars are simply experiencing a very relatable feeling: pre-lunch crankiness. Here they are shortly after being fed. See, lunch really does heal all wounds. Still, considering adult jaguars can weigh up to 210 pounds and grow to over 6 feet long, I'd hate to be their waiter if their meal was running late. Pachyderm Punch-Up. Picture this. You're strolling along with your buddies when all of a sudden something with a jaw strength strong enough to crush bones digs its teeth into your face. What do? Well, this poor elephant found out the hard way.
Oh, look. Look.
Youch. That is one big crocodile chomping down on that elephant's trunk. As both animals call Africa their home and both love watering holes, it's not unusual for crocodiles to lurk in the water and occasionally try to drag down a smaller elephant like this. The terrified elephant brays and stomps and flails around while its stupefied herd watches on in horror. Eventually, they remember that they're elephants and rush to their buddy's rescue. Considering a single African elephant can weigh over 8 times more than a lone crocodile, and there are multiple elephants rushing in, the croc very wisely lets go. I don't know what that mean reptile thought it would accomplish here. It's lucky it didn't end up as a crocodile-shaped pancake. Frosty relations. If you were fighting for your life, would you rather have sheer power on your side or raw numbers? Or to put it another way, would you side with an adult grizzly bear or a pack of wolves? It's a tough call, isn't it? Well, let's watch this intense footage captured in Yellowstone and find out. The situation begins as a hungry brown bear swoops in to claim an elk carcass, a meal that was hard-earned by a pack of wolves not long ago. Right now, only a single wolf grumpily paces back and forth. No way they're taking on that big guy. It makes an effort here, but quickly backs off. Not a bad choice, considering that at their peak, these bears can weigh up to 8 times that of a single adult wolf. Then another wolf shows up, and another, then even more, before the bear is completely surrounded. In total, 14 wolves show up, which I would certainly find intimidating. So pause the video and guess now. Who do you think wins this standoff? Let me know in the comments which way you think this'll go. After backup arrives, the wolves do everything they can to frighten the bear or coax it into attacking them. What they want is to lure the bear away from their kill so some of their numbers can sneak in and steal the carcass. In this situation, it's more advantageous to be on the defensive. The bear, however, isn't stupid and holds its ground. Despite having numbers on their side, an all-out assault is still just too dangerous. And the wolves eventually leave. Despite how scary both sides are, in reality, most animals will always choose flight over fight. We humans had to evolve a special idiot gene before some of us started to prefer fighting. Roo Rage. If I'm being honest, I think kangaroos are the animal I fear the most. Oh, you're laughing? Well, just look how jacked they can get. This is the guy your girl is telling you not to worry about, fellas. My own marsupial-induced insecurity aside, I am curious what a scrap between these brutes might look like. Let's watch. Whoa, it's pretty wild to see them support their entire body weight on their tails like that when they kick. This support means they themselves aren't launched backwards when they attack, and can keep on kicking until their opponent eventually gives in. Speaking of which, each of those kicks is able to deliver a bone-crunching 759 pounds of force. They're really putting on a show for the little one in the background, huh? This males. According to the videographer, these males called bucks were fighting over territory, which is not an unusual sight. Look at those legs fly. After the brawl, however, the kangaroos calm down and are apparently on good terms. Nothing wrong with bros letting off a little steam. Snake Eater. When you think of the most badass animals out there, I'd be willing to bet you picture a lot of animals we've seen so far today. Lions, crocodiles, wolves. Well, I'd like to pitch the mongoose as an incredibly fearsome furball. These creatures may be small, but they're ferocious. You kind of have to be when part of your primary food source is snakes. Don't believe me? Check out this footage from Himachal Pradesh, India. This large snake is minding its own business when it's suddenly ambushed from the brush by a wily mongoose. Now you may think this is pretty reckless of the mongoose, but they've developed an incredible agility and powerful bite force to rival even the toughest skulled snakes. And some genus of the species are specially adapted to hunt even venomous ones. They possess a glycoprotein that binds to proteins in snake venom, which renders it harmless to them. But the snake reacts quickly, attempting to bite and coil around the mongoose. After not much fighting back, however, the mongoose goes for the neck and quickly puts an end to its prey. Pretty crazy how that snake was just chilling and went from alive to food in 10 seconds. Suddenly a new challenger appears. That conniving crow that was previously watching from the sidelines has decided they want a taste of that snake. But this crow is no match for the mongoose's agility, and it scampers off with its meal in tow. But man, can't that little guy catch a break? It's already hard enough having to hunt snakes. Tooth and horn. Lions and African buffalo have a pretty iconic relationship. It's hard to think of more classic enemies in the animal kingdom. That said, though, this dynamic isn't as one-sided as you might think. This tense face-off was filmed in Zambia's South Luangwa National Park. The confrontation begins when a herd of buffalo takes notice of a skulking lion pride. For the buffalo, it's important they intimidate the lions and send them a message early, or else the lions could stalk them for hours while trying to pick one of them off. And so a tense standoff begins, with each side testing the other with false charges. While the lions are certainly intimidating, keep in mind that these buffalo can weigh over 1,800 pounds, charge at 30 miles per hour, and are by some measurements 4 times stronger than an ox. On top of that, this herd is some 500 buffalo strong. This explains how apprehensive the lions are, quickly retreating whenever they bat at one of the buffalo. A brave buffalo here tries to scare 2 lions off, but they still aren't backing down just yet. The buffalo don't feel safe turning away, but the lions don't feel safe going in. Oh, the tension is killing me. The buffalo ramp up their aggression, and in the end the lions turn tail without claiming a single one of them. There's the jaws of death.
What happens if you take that devastating python v alligator wrestling match from earlier and shrink it way, way down?
Well, you end up with a small but still epic brawl.
Our combatants in the jungles of Santa Cruz and Trinidad and Tobago, they seem fairly deadlocked.
That is, until the snake starts to wriggle free.
You serious?